Oh, hi. Hello. How you doing? I can start 60 seconds early if I want to, but it's an important announcement. I wanted to get ahead of all the allegations. I wanted to get ahead of all the news stories and let you know that Bobo is in the Epstein files. Okay? That he's very upset. I know he's very mad, but he's in them, and his name is going to pop up a few times. Okay? I just wanted to let
Bobo,
you know.
no.
I just wanted to let you know. Okay. Go around. Go. Okay. He's very upset. This is why he's been pushing against it. That's why he's been voting against letting them out. But he is in the Epstein files, and that's bad news. I'm not happy about this, but he is an innocent bystander, I promise. He was just on the island being cute, playing with the kids. Anyway, hi, how you doing? My name is Waldo, and I'm here to feel the politics with you. I got a new headset, and it's killing my ears. I don't know if you've ever gotten a new headset, but I got a massive dome.
Tell me he wasn't the puppy in the van to lure the children.
He might have been KBP, but that's not his fault because he was also underage, do you see? So he was also underage when that happened. So he can't be responsible for what they did to him. And that's what we rescued him from. We rescued him, you see. Anyway, he is going to be making a bunch of noise. He got a new toy today, and it just is a stuffed animal with a big vibrator in it. And it just bounces around on the ground, and it growls. And then he loves it. I'll get some photos of it later and put it up on the Discord. So go on over to the Discord and leave, and you can see some photos of Bobo the baby bark boy. Or if I can spell it right, it shows up in chat. And then I can put it into YouTube chat too. There we go. So yeah, I wanted to get ahead of the story. You're all going to hear about it, and it's going to come up in the news, and you're going to notice it over the next a couple of days as they release all the names and stuff like that. You're going to see Bobo the baby bark boy in there, and it's going to be confusing, and you're not going to know what to do. And I just wanted to preload you, let you know this is what's happening, and to chill out and relax. Yeah, I got a new headset, and it is too tight on my big dumb melon. I have a big old head, and when you get a new headset, they're like made for Asian children, I think, who have, I understand, smaller heads. So it crushes my skull.
Bork boy gate.
So it's breaking my skull right now, but they're wireless, so they're very nice. And that might lead to audio issues tonight. I think I've taken care of them all. I think I've got all the audio set, but it might happen. I don't want it to. And it seems like I'm talking to you right now, and I'm hearing the lady voice, and I'm pretty sure that it's coming through on the desktop audio. You can hear the robot voice, can't you? KBP? Robot. Yeah, it's right there. I'm looking at it. Okay. Looking at the bars on OBS, and it says it's coming through. So, did anything happen in the news today, guys? Did anything big or life-shattering or life-changing or wild happen today? Probably not, right? Let's just skip it and play video games, right? Like Giga Gamer is saying we should just play early 2000s video games on the N64. And that would be more fun, but it's way less important too. Let's look at the news. Where did you go, news? Where did you go, politics? Where are you? Ba-bam. Donald Trump signs bill ordering Justice Department to release Epstein files. Dun, dun, dun. He did the thing. The thing we have been waiting for. The thing we have been postulating on for years now. And he has done some of that postulating himself, promising to do this while he was campaigning. It has finally happened. Here it is. The files. Now, let's read what this has to say, and then we'll talk about what happens, what to expect when you're expecting what to expect when you're expecting Epstein files. That could be a good book. Maybe that'll be the title for this YouTube video. What to expect when you're expecting Epstein files. U.S. President Donald Trump announced on Wednesday that he signed the bill ordering the release of the files. And these are not the emails that came out last week. Last week, we got emails from Jeffrey Epstein's estate. They just had this shit lying around. They could have popped it out anytime they wanted to, and so they did. This is actual DOJ criminal files. This is evidence files. This is testimony, under oath testimony and shit like that, and evidence that they found. The bill requires the Justice Department to release all information from its Epstein investigation in a searchable and downloadable format within 30 days. Trump previously opposed releasing the files, but he changed course last week after facing pushback from Epstein's victims and members of his own Republican Party. With his support, the legislation overwhelmingly cleared both chambers of House and Congress. In a post on Truth Social on Wednesday, the president accused Democrats of championing the issue to distract attention from the achievements of his administration. He used this as an excuse and a distraction during the campaign, and his followers are mad that he didn't follow through on it because they believed him. You shouldn't do that. You should never believe Donald Trump. He's a liar, so don't believe him. But perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their this is him. Perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their associations with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed, because I have just signed the bill to release the Epstein files. Like, we had to force you. Boss, you could have done this years ago. You could have done this the first time. Well, not the first time. You could have done this 9 months ago. You could have. You could have signed it, and nobody would have stopped you. Nobody would have said no. You don't get to brag about it now. You don't get to start a fire and then call the fire department and then get a medal for calling the fire department. That's not how this works. Lawmakers in the House passed the legislation with a 427-1 vote. And then the Senate passed unanimous consent because they didn't even bother to vote. They were like, hey, does anybody argue? Nobody argued. They're like, all right, passes. Some 20,000 pages of documents from Epstein's estate, including some that have directly mentioned Trump, were released last week. So that's different than what we're going to get in the future over the next 30 days. Speaking to reporters on Monday night, Trump and Republicans had nothing to do with Epstein. It's really a Democrat problem. He said the Democrats were Epstein's friends, all of them. Despite the president's signature, the release of the full Epstein files is not guaranteed. Based on the bill's text, portions could still be withheld if they are deemed to invade personal privacy or relate to an active investigation. Now, this is the fine print. This is the difficulty that we may run into. What will happen in the future? It's entirely possible that Pam Bondi, the Nazi, who runs the DOJ, is Donald Trump's specifically personal lawyer. You know, that's who she does. She's supposed to work for you. She's supposed to work for the country. She doesn't. She works for Donnie. She does everything he tells her, and he tells her to do a lot. So she's busy with all of his work instead of the work of the people. But they don't know how the DOJ is supposed to work. They're morons. So what may happen is that she redacts his name everywhere she finds it, redacts any information from him, and then chops it up into little bits, and then puts it in a way that is hard to comprehend and takes out important bits. That's possible. But why is it different this time? What's going on? Why is this actually happening where so many other things have failed? And I think it's because on every other issue, normal issues, not normal, but normal in MAGA land, on normal Trump issues, Donald Trump tells the MAGA base what they think. He tells them what they feel. And he tells them what to believe. On a normal day, Donnie goes out there and tells you that El Salvador is sending mental patients across the border on purpose. They released all their mental patients, and they released all their criminals from jail, and they drove them up to the border and threw them across. Now, that's not true. It never happened. But he will tell you it did. He will tell you that's what's happening. He will tell you that's what happened. Okay? And MAGA base believes it. They think that's true. He will tell you that tariffs are paid by China, and a lot of MAGA believes it. It's a lie, of course. It's not true. American companies pay those tariffs. He will tell you that, what was the other big whopper? That he won in 2020. You know, he didn't. He did not win, factually. Factually, he lost in 2020. But he will tell you that he won because he's a liar. And most of the MAGA people will repeat those lies. This issue, however, the Epstein issue, he does not tell them what to think. He does not tell them what to feel. They already have that shit down. They tell him what to do. And it's the only issue that I think I've ever noticed that the MAGA people tell him what to do. They tell him what to think. They tell him how to act. They tell him what to do. And he does not like it. That might be the only reason. Maybe his name is nowhere in these damn things. Maybe. It's possible, but it seems unlikely. And the only reason he was doing it is out of spite. That seems very unlikely. That can't be the reason he would have fought it. He would have popped him out and it would have been fine 9 months ago. And he would have got a whole bunch of cred and everybody would have cheered for him. But what are we going to see over the next couple of weeks? Over the next 30 days, what we're expecting is butchered, redacted, and a lot of blank pages, as Pam Bondi has ruined this thing. Is that going to happen? Maybe. Maybe they just release the whole thing, but it seems unlikely. I think that she's going to release a butchered, redacted, chopped up, missing important bits. And it's going to look bad. It looks bad. The Republicans are going to talk about how we totally released the Epstein files. There they are. You can go read them. Get away from us. We don't want to have anything to do with it. Move on. You got what you wanted. Why are you trying to figure out what's under the redactions? Those are connected to ongoing cases against Democrats. So if you want to know what's going on under those redactions, just wait for us to start bringing Democrats in on trial. That's what they're going to tell you. And they're lying, obviously, because Republicans just lie all day. But the redactions will create intrigue. What are they hiding under there? Whose name has been covered under there? Look at the salacious bit on page 93. Look at this. This sounds morbid. The CNN people and the people online will dig into it with morbid curiosity of like a true crime podcast. They're going to be looking through this shit and they're going to find all the disgusting details they can. And if there's a blanked out name, they're going to figure out who it is. They are. The news media loves redaction because it creates intrigue. MAGA loves a conspiracy. They already love this conspiracy specifically. They're already all over it. They already know all the players, and they want more information. The redaction and the chopping up of the files lets everyone, like CNN, conspiracy theorists, MAGA, and even live streaming dipshits.
As Trump would say, it makes good television.
It makes great television. And then, it allows this story to go on forever. CNN will run another story every week. Conspiracy theorists will keep making videos about it. MAGA will keep talking about it. I'll keep streaming about it and telling you as things pop up. Maybe for months, maybe years, as we find another name. Online sleuths will cross-reference Twitter posts with flight logs, with bank statements, cross-reference to emails, and then prove whose name is under that redaction. Every week another name, another headline, another day that this story stays at the top of everyone's minds. And we will figure them out, because these are the most wealthy and powerful people in the world. They have records, photos, and sometimes even reporters following them around and reporting their whereabouts all the time. Any name redacted will be sussed out and turned into a 24-hour news story just for the clicks. Then I'll tell you about it, and we'll talk about it, and we'll feel it together, because that'll be the news of the day. That'll be the politics of the day. So if you're worried that they're going to be redacted, and I've seen a lot of people complaining about that online, the lefties love to lose preemptively. Democrats love to snatch the defeat from the jaws of victory. They love doing that. And so they're all complaining. They're all whining. If you've seen it, they'd be like, well, he's just going to hide it. He's just going to cover up his name. He's just going to blank all these things out. Remember, we're going to get to the bottom of who's behind those things, whether they're victims or not. Sorry, victims. This isn't good for you. That's why there's some reason not to release them, but I think it's more important that we get the most important people, their names out there. So yeah, if you're worried about the redactions and all that stuff, worried that we won't learn anything and it won't actually come to anything, it might not, but it will stay in the news longer. And that's bad for Trump. He wants this gone. His followers are driving him on this issue, and he hates it. He needs to drive MAGA. He doesn't like it when MAGA drives him. But it's such good TV that he can't not do it. And honestly, I think that's the way we trick him into doing things he doesn't want to do, is make it really good on television. We almost have to reverse judo flip him into doing the things because it would look good on TV, you know? What do we want? Universal health care. That's what I want. How does that look good on television? You know, we take that idea and then we reverse engineer how to get to it through good TV. And I think that we could trick him into it. I think we can trick him into it. I think we can trick him into going down that path. You know, it's not good for TV. Granny's getting slammed by ice onto the pavement. You know, it's not good for TV. People don't like that. Everybody in the country having their health care premiums go up. That's not good TV. They don't like that. So how do we? So we need to trick him into it. So if we really were trying to wrangle him, we would put that together. But I'm not smart enough. I don't work in TV. Somebody in TV, put together something, and then we can trick him into it. And I'll support you, and then I'll talk about it. So that's all I've got. So let's see. Is there... So this is the other concern that they have. So let's look at that other concern that we have. Right there. There we go. Boop. I'm concerned that Trump is opening a flurry of investigations, and I believe they may be trying to use these investigations as predicate for not releasing the files. That is my concern. That is another concern that Thomas Massey has said, and that is something to worry about. So if Pam Bondi does that, everyone screams at her. Everybody just starts screaming, boo, we hate you, don't do that. When are you going to release them? All that kind of stuff. But that keeps it in the... That doesn't get released. That becomes a unfulfilled promise. It becomes a ticking clock kind of thing that more people will pay attention to, more people will listen to, and then we get to keep talking about it. We get to keep talking about it. And you never get to stop talking about it. And then Donald can't have any press conference where somebody isn't asking him that, which is good. I don't want him to get off easy. He should be answering this question. He should have done it months ago. Now, why didn't Joe Biden do it? One, he's a wiener. Okay, he put Merrick Garland in charge, and he didn't even prosecute anybody from the Republican Party for Jan 6th. They prosecuted the protesters and none of the people who orchestrated the damn thing because they were politicians. You see, they're first-class citizens, and everybody else is second-class. You're a second-class citizen compared to a senator because they're wieners. Also, there was the Ghislaine Maxwell case going on at that time. Ghislaine Maxwell case was happening, and it didn't end until 2021. So releasing that evidence would have been contaminating the jury. It would have been hurting the jury pool. It would have been all that fun stuff. So they didn't do that. Are they wieners? Yes, they are wieners. We have to understand that. Dems don't want to do stuff. They hate doing stuff. They're scared of doing stuff. So we have to force them into doing stuff sometimes. So that's if you hear the argument, and you'll probably hear it from the Republicans, they make it all the time. Why didn't Biden do it? Well, there was an active investigation. 1, 2, they're wimps. They don't want to cause waves. They don't want to upset the apple cart. They don't want to cause disruptions. They want to stand still and do nothing. And that's why we need leftists instead of Democrats. There's a difference. Keep watching my stream if you don't know the difference. You'll figure it out. And then, so let's see if there's anything else going on with it. No. Okay. So, how about you tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling. I'm going to turn that little rant into a thing, but then I've got a bigger rant tonight about MAGA itself. I think MAGA is dying. It is dying. It's not dead, but it's very close to being dead. We're time-wise, anyway. I think it is a dying beast that is lashing out, about to flop around and flail, and we're about to see it in its death throes. Why do I say that? Because good old Maytag, Marjorie Taylor Greene, has gone to war with Donald Trump. She was one of his believers, and she's not making it easy on him. The war between MTG and Trump, how did we get here? The Congresswoman signaled Sunday that she is open to forgiving the president. Here's what we know about the causes of the public rift. Marjorie Taylor Greene said Sunday that her very public fallout with President Trump has all, hang on, I have to do the Karen voice, has all come down to the Epstein files. And that is shocking. But how did the president's staunchest supporters become one of his ops to the point that Trump has given her the nickname Wacky Marjorie? No, Marjorie Trader Green is much better. All I see is Wacky Marjorie. Do is complain, complain, complain. Trump wrote on Friday, says she's a raging lunatic, and announced he was pulling his endorsement of her. I'm withdrawing my support and endorsement for Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, the great state of Georgia. He called her a traitor. Marjorie Trader Green. It fits right in there. MTG. You don't even have to change the acronym. Those are the types of words used that can radicalize people against me and put my life in danger. So she's very upset because of this. Let's hear what she has to say. Damn it. Internet, go.
The president says he's withdrawing support for you, encouraging primary challengers. You were one of his biggest supporters. What do you think happened here?
Well, Dana, thank you for having me on, and that is true. I stood with President Trump when virtually no one else did. Campaigned all over the country, spent millions of my own.
She's correct. When January 6th happened and everybody hated him, including every Senate Republican, talked about how illegal the things he did was, nobody else stood beside him except for her. And when Joe Biden and the head of the DOJ, what was his name? I said it 5 minutes ago, but I've forgotten what it was. Decided not to charge Donald Trump for anything. They found out that you can just break the law willy-nilly, and Dems will never hold you responsible. If we had put some senators in handcuffs, Donnie wouldn't have won. The Republican senators would have backed the hell off of him. But we didn't. So Democrats failing to act properly has caused Donald Trump to get his second term. And now the mess that you're in right now is because of him.
Dollars helping him get elected. And I think that's incredibly important. And I do support him and his administration. And I support them in delivering the campaign promises we made to the American people. His remarks, of course, have been hurtful. However, I have something in my heart that I think is incredibly important for our country, and that is to end the toxic fighting in politics. And this has been going on for years, and it is...
She's part of the toxic fighting in politics. If everybody would just agree with her, we could stop fighting.
Divided our country, split up friends and families.
She splits up friends and families by saying nonsense bullshit. And if you don't agree with her bullshit, people abandon their families.
Neighbors, and it's not solving our problems. The most hurtful thing he said, which is absolutely untrue, is he called me a traitor. And that is so extremely wrong. And those are...
You are betraying Donald Trump, and that is the only thing that matters, hon. Listen, Maytag, baby, honey. He doesn't care about the country. He doesn't care about you. He never has. He doesn't give a rat's ass about the American people. He doesn't give a shit about the Constitution, the judicial branch, the House, the Senate, the country, the states. He doesn't give a flying fuck about any of them. He is 110% self-centered. The treachery that you have done is against him. That is why you were a traitor. You can sell American secrets to Russia, but as long as you're saying nice things about Donnie on Twitter, you're not a traitor in his eyes. You could give billions of tax dollars, American tax dollars, to China, but as long as you did it while smiling next to Donald Trump and shaking his hand and telling him how great he is, you're still not a traitor in his eyes. There is only one thing that matters to Donald Trump, and that is to himself. You, Marjorie, have gone against him over the past couple of weeks. That is why he calls you a traitor. He's not. He is the country. He is his own country. You are betraying him and his country, which is him, Trumpistan.
These are the types of words used that can radicalize people against me and put my life in danger. What do you...
Oh, man, that's rough. Calling people names causes other people that watch the news to attack them. That sounds like a terrible idea. I sure hope we don't have lots of video of Marjorie Taylor Greene doing exactly that.
What do you think happened? What do you think is the reason for this?
Unfortunately, it has all come down to the Epstein files, and that is shocking. And, you know, I stand with these women. I stand with rape victims. I stand with children who are in terrible sex abuse situations. And I stand with survivors of trafficking and those that are trapped in sex trafficking. And I will not apologize for that. I believe the country deserves transparency in these files. And I don't believe that rich, powerful people should be protected if they have done anything wrong. And so I'm standing with the women, and I will continue to do my small part to get the files released.
Okay, lovely, wonderful. I think they just repeat all that. Greene's turn against the president came over the last several months as she publicly questioned his foreign policy decisions, including his strikes against Iran. That's not our fight, she said, and support of Israel, as well as domestic political maneuvering, such as his failure to address healthcare amid a government shutdown. She's a true believer, y'all. She thinks that the things that Donnie said were true and real and things he was going to do. They were lies. I'm going to go against everyone on this issue because when the tax credits expire this year, my own adult children's insurance premiums from 2026 are going to double, along with all the wonderful families and hardworking people in my district, she wrote on X, formerly Twitter, because that's its full name. You have to call it that. She's a true believer. Okay? And she is simply the first rat to abandon this sinking ship. She was a true believer. She ate all the gigantic piles of horse shit that Donald Trump fed her, and she asked for more. She believed him about the illegals. She believed him when he talked about open borders. She believed him when he talked about transing of millions of school children. She believed him on the Epstein files. And none of that shit was true. None of that shit was correct. None of it was real. It was all horseshit. He fed to get votes. He feeds those to the proles in the middle of the country, and then they cheer and vote for him. And now that he is in charge, he's failing and backtracking on every single one of those things. He didn't believe his lies. Donald Trump knew he was lying. He thinks that his lies are to convince the idiot masses, and that anyone with power, money, or an elected position ought to know that those are lies and shouldn't believe them. Marjorie Taylor Greene shouldn't be believing the things that Donald Trump says. She's an elected official. She's not supposed to believe those things. That's for the idiots. That's for the stupid, ignorant masses. That's what you tell them to get them to vote for you, and then you rob them. That is his game. That has always been his game. Lie to the people, get power, rob them. Rob everybody. Steal everything he can. And he's doing that. He's stealing every single thing that he can. And let's see, MAGA is dying because of it. Let's hear what else she has to say here. Here she is.
Files. Congresswoman Greene, you raised the question of whether or not the Justice Department will actually release these files. Do you take the president at his word when he says he's going to sign this bill, and do you have confidence that these files will actually be released?
I only take people's actions seriously, no longer words.
And what do you think the president's actions?
And I'll tell you,
because Donnie has been lying to her for such a long time.
I wasn't a Johnny-come-lately to the MAGA train. I was day one 2015, and there's a big difference in those Americans and those that decided to support President Trump later on. And I'll tell you right now, this is...
Right. They can see facts, Marjorie. They recognize he's a liar and didn't believe him. You did.
Been one of the most destructive things to MAGA is watching the man that we supported early on, 3 elections, for people that stood hours, slept in their cars to go to rallies, have fought for truth and transparency, and to hold what we consider a corrupt government accountable. Watching this actually turn into a fight has ripped MAGA apart. And the only thing that will speak to the powerful, courageous women behind me is when action is actually taken to release these files, and the American people won't tolerate any other bullshit. That's where we are today. Thank you.
Except when you want to. She's not going to tolerate bullshit on this issue. She will tolerate lots of bullshit on immigration and the economy. And when Donnie tells her gas prices are $2 in her state, she'll just be like, yup, sure is. Unless she really is learning things. I hope she becomes smarter. I hope that now she's in this place of power, this place of authority. She will stop lying to herself. She will stop believing Republican nonsense, horse shit, bullshit. They lie constantly about every damn issue. Every issue that he politicked on, every issue that he campaigned on, he has gone back on and has turned into a giant steaming pile of shit. And they have nowhere to pivot. So why do I think MAGA is actually going to die from this? They've had problems in the past. Actually, wait, hang on. Before we get off of Maytag, let me readjust here. We've got videos of her confronting the Parkland shooter with baseless claims. So she is still a bitch. Like, she still did all this stuff. Shut up, CNN. Fucking CNN.
Therapy has been such a massive part of my last
fucking
years,
CNN. What is this?
That I'm able to
Damn
be a musician again. I think I'll always
garbage
Your
fucking shit.
stand, so I'm walking. He's got nothing to say. Sad. He has nothing to say because there really isn't anything to say, you guys. He has nothing to say.
Let's go back to the beginning of this. Hang on. Sorry. I suck at...
Shooting student David Hogg.
David, why are you supporting the red flag laws? If Scott Peterson, the resource officer at Parkland, had done his job, then Nicholas Cruz wouldn't have killed anybody in your high school, or at least protected them. Why are you supporting red flag gun laws that attack our Second Amendment rights? And why are you using kids as a barrier?
Kids as a argument. Most of her arguments are about someone being nice to the children. Won't someone please think about the children? She uses that argument in every issue that she discusses. But what she's doing here is harassing and irritating a survivor of a school shooting, because after that school shooting, he became political and said, hey, we should probably stop that whole school shooting thing. How can we do that? And he started looking for ways to make that happen. But that upsets Maytag and her only real ethic, and that is all guns for Americans, and every American has a gun in their hands all the time, forever. And more guns equals more safety. That's the only ethic she really has. She might have more now. She might have gained some ethics. She went to Washington and gained ethics. Maybe. I mean, that's good news, right? I hope she does come around on this Epstein thing, and then maybe, if we're lucky, she'll come around on all the other bullshit that he lied to her about, because there's lots of it. And that's why I think that MAGA is actually going to die, because of this stuff. So here we have, every other issue they have failed on as well. They have nothing to pivot to. They're failing at the immigration promises that Donnie made. ICE, when they do anything, it's a jumble fuck. Poor planning, no coordination, arresting Americans. Everyone sees them coming, and normal, everyday Americans are screaming in ICE officers' faces, calling them Nazis. People from the suburbs are doing that. They're not wild, crazy lefties. They're just people in the suburbs doing that. And they're crazy short of Trump's promise to deport 20 million people. And everything they do is a disgusting failure. Here we can watch, let's watch good old Ben Shapiro. And the theme for tonight is that MAGA is dying.
That is the main thing that Republicans should be focused on when it comes to 2028 candidacies. Who can win? Who is capable of winning? Perhaps it's J.D. Vance. Maybe it's someone else. We don't know yet. Right? It's very, very early. One bad indicator for Republicans, Harry Enton is pointing out that President Trump's poll numbers among Latinos have taken a serious nosedive. That is largely because of the coverage around immigration. Again, when
the truth about what's happening with immigration, not the coverage. I mean, yes, they are covering the horrible things that ICE does.
The president said deport all the illegal immigrants. I never thought that he meant that literally. I don't think any.
What? it's right there. Look, there's the photo. That's from his rally. The old ladies, they held this up. They held it up, and he didn't think it was
Anyone
real.
thought that he meant that literally, because I never thought that he meant that literally. I don't think anyone thought that he meant that literally, because
He told us he literally meant it. He told us time and time and time and time again that he literally meant it, that he was going to do it. He promised to do it.
it was never going to happen. We weren't going to take 15 to 20 million illegal immigrants and simply deport them wholesale.
That's what Waldo said. And he's a fucking screaming leftist, isn't he? What? Why weren't you paying attention? This is why you can't be listened to. This is why we can't listen to the grifters on the right, because they will, one, pretend it didn't happen. They'll say, oh, he never really meant it. And then when it fails, they'll blame him and they'll say they never meant it either. That man is not to be trusted. You cannot believe the words he says. But he gets to make billions stealing from stupid people.
What President Trump did that's popular, when you break down his actual immigration policy, which is still one of his more popular policies.
He hasn't passed any policy. He hasn't done anything. He don't pass laws anymore. He just writes executive orders, which are fucking illegal and going to be reversed the next time he's out of office. It's not policy. It's a damn joke is what it is. MAGA is going to fall apart. They're going to collapse because they cannot hold up their rhetoric anymore. ICE is failing. The immigration stuff is incredibly unpopular. And nobody's coming to save them. They don't have any idea on how they can do that. Here, let's look at an ICE agent breaking the law and going to jail and then doing something worse. Let's look at this. Security cameras caught this Border Patrol agent ditching a loaded gun behind a tree at a restaurant parking lot. Is the standard training for Bovino's Border Patrol agents. So this old boy was about to be arrested, and he knew that. So he popped his gun out and then just threw it behind the tree so that maybe the cops won't see it. That's a gun. That's his loaded gun. Because he doesn't want the cops to know he's carrying it. Because that would make his life more difficult. So he's like, I better hide that right there. And then you see the flashlight of the cops. That's the cops coming to get him. I love hiding guns near trees. Now you can listen to him cry as he was arrested.
Dude, you know what the word doxed is?
You made a mistake.
You know what doxed is?
Doxed?
I made a mistake, dude. I just fucking... No, I'm just trying to be fucking extra careful.
I know.
Do you know how many fucking people are after me over here in Los Angeles?
I know.
It doesn't mean no, you don't know. You know what the word doxed is? D-O-X-X-E-D,
No, what is
dude.
that?
Doxed.
No, what is that?
Have you ever had your fucking personal information pumped up online and on the fucking news?
No. I'm sorry to hear that.
Have you ever had your fucking parents' information? Have you ever had fucking people stand up at your parents' house because you're...
Because you're acting like a Nazi, because you're acting like a brown shirt, because you're acting like the Gestapo. That's why they're doing that, boss. Now, why was he arrested? He apparently was alleged to have drunkenly barged into a women's restroom with a loaded gun, demanding a date from the woman inside, and then punched the arresting officers. Okay? Boss, you go to jail for that. Even if you're an ICE agent. You just do. But now, and then he gets arrested and starts crying and whining about his face being on camera and being doxxed. Don't be a Nazi. Don't be an ICE agent. You could choose to do something else. Now, this story doesn't end well because as soon as he gets out of jail, he intentionally OD'd himself. Border agent seen in viral arrest of U.S. citizen, fatally overdosed, lawyer says. So he intentionally, willingly overdosed himself because of this job that they put him in. Is he a good person? Probably not. But being in ICE made everything worse for him. It did. It gave him power, gave him authority, it gave him a feeling. And yes, I'm playing armchair psychologist here, but it gave him power, and he liked it. And once he got that power, he thought he could do anything he wanted. And when the actual authority came and said, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, and we are going to hold you responsible, he could not stand it any longer. And he could not face up to those mistakes that he made, and he OD'd himself. There are lots more stories like that from lots more ICE agents. You can just go online and start watching all of the terrible things that they're doing. You can find lots of videos of them harassing old people. You can find lots of videos of them arresting American citizens. Here's another one. Let's watch them arrest some citizens.
I can't hear you.
He said, what about the American citizens that have been arrested by ICE?
There's no American citizens have been arrested or detained. We focus on those that are here illegally. And
That's a fucking lie.
anything that you would hear or report that would be different than that is simply not true and false reporting.
A U.S. citizen who was arrested this week by federal agents has been released from custody. She claims she was targeted because she's Latina.
Was detained at the request of immigration authorities. The problem is Lopez Gomez is an American citizen.
Walking free from an immigration facility in Texas after being taken into custody by Border Patrol.
But his attorney tells us he's a U.S. citizen.
Miguel says he told officers he had his social birth certificate at home, but they refuse to believe him.
This one shames. This is a tragedy in many respects, but people at the Department of Homeland Security, I know there are great people there that come to work every single day and do their jobs and do it admirably. Unfortunately, Mr. recently married back here is not one of those people.
This is an ICE agent who was busted for trying to solicit sex from a minor. When he was arrested, he said, I'm ICE.
He works for
trying to get out of it.
And he is an auditor for them, a civilian employee. When he was arrested, he said, I'm ICE boys. Well, you know, unfortunately for him, we locked him up, put him in our jail. He got reappropriated to our jail. And my understanding is he helped send people to send federal authorities. I think he's going to see some federal authorities because I think the feds are going to take this case.
And guess who gets to decide his fate? PM PST, the Nazi, who appreciates him and all the work he did harassing brown people in this country. If the feds decide not to take up the case of him soliciting sex from a minor, nothing happens. The system, that's how the system has always functioned. The DOJ picks and chooses which cases have enough evidence and which ones they can get a conviction on. And if they don't think there's enough evidence, if they don't think they can get a conviction, they don't bring a case against you. And now that Donald Trump is in charge and Pam Bondi, the Nazi, is in charge, she will choose not to prosecute this man. Possibly. I know I'm predicting things again, but she might choose not to bring him up on charges because he is an ICE agent. And she can't have that. She can't have these ICE agents getting in trouble with the law. And she is the law. And so she's just going to sweep it under the rug and ignore it. Put them somewhere else. This is what happens with the Catholic Church. This is why you hear so many of those crazy stories about the Catholic bishops doing a thing that's awful, and then they can just get moved because they're not really responsible under the law. The Catholic Church just takes care of it themselves. They sweep it under the rug, they move you to somewhere else, and then tell you not to do it again. You know, and that's what we're looking at. Crime. Lots and lots and lots of awful, terrible, horrible crime committed by the government because we elected criminals. Stop electing criminals. Honestly, we should probably stop doing that. It's not good for us. It's not good. It's not going well over here in America. We keep electing criminals. So yeah, the MAGA is going to die because of this. They are unable to keep this stuff in line because anybody with a brain has abandoned them. Any lawyer worth a damn has abandoned Donald Trump because he's a fucking criminal. That's why they keep botching the trials, because they can't get any good lawyers. A good lawyer would run the fuck away from Donald Trump because he's a criminal. People who want to serve their community would run away from Donald Trump because he is a criminal, because the ICE agents are poorly trained and over-equipped and overzealous. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how the law works. They don't know where they're going. They have no plans. That raid on the Chicago building where they arrested all those people and they had the Black Hawk helicopter, they made a really kick-ass video. They arrested 60 people and all of them were released because they were not criminals. They did not do any crimes. So the judge released them. ICE does not know what they're doing. Their leadership is failing because they're too stupid. Anybody with a brain says no to Trump, and anybody who says no to Trump gets fired. So you're left with brainless idiots who don't know what's going on, don't know the law, don't know how to do their jobs. See, do I have another one of these? No. So that's the other reason. That's another reason that MAGA is dying. They can't. Donnie's big promise on immigration has failed. Then there's the economy. That's a fucking mess. Prices are up because of the pointless, unstable tariffs. 100% yesterday, 150% today, 67% tomorrow. The kids told me to say 6-7. I don't know why. I don't get it. I don't understand what it is, but they told me that if I wanted the algo to like me, I have to say 6-7 a lot. So the Chinese tariff is currently 6-7. So let's look at some really awesome economic news.
And there's also, because of the mass immigration, a disease that we've been rid of in North America made its way up through South America. As these migrants, they brought some of their cattle with them. So,
in case you didn't hear that yet, you heard that. Listen again.
They brought some of their cattle with them.
The migrants brought some of their cattle with them. How did that work? Boss, that doesn't sound true at all. That sounds really fucking stupid. But that man's in charge of your economy right now. That man is in charge of the American economy right now. And he thinks illegal Mexican cows are sneaking across the border, infecting our cows with disease. How the fuck does that work? Did they just walk them across? Let's work the logistics on this. You're in Venezuela, right? You own a whole bunch of cows. Okay. Let's find a world map. See how I'm on a world map so I can find out where Venezuela is. Because I don't know what countries you'd have to walk through. Come on, Google Earth. Go faster. All right. There's South America. Right there. So let's look at this. Okay, so sorry. Let's logic this out. You're in Venezuela, which is, where is Venezuela? It's over here, right? No, where is Venezuela? Venezuela's right here. Okay, so you're in Venezuela, right? You got a couple of cows, and you really just hate Maduro, and you really don't want to be here anymore. I get it. I dig it. I feel you. And so you start walking with your cows, and then you walk over to the Panama Canal. Can motherfuckers walk across the Panama Canal? I know they can walk across it, but there are locks. But can you get cows across there? I don't think you can. I don't think that there's a road across. I might be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I've never been through it. But can you walk cows across the locks? I'm willing to bet you can't. People walk across it. I understand that. But I don't think you can walk cows across it. But then you send them all up through Panama, and then you walk your cows all up through here, through Nicaragua. Then you walk your cows all up through Guatemala. Then you walk your cows all the way up here, and you go all the way across the Mexican desert with your cows. And then you get your cows to Texas, I would assume. And then you cross the river. Even though there are fences along the way, and there are barriers, and there are river barriers too. And apparently you just walked your cows the whole way. And then once you got there, let's imagine that you did all that impossible shit. Seems unlikely to me, but let's imagine for a moment. What would you do after that? You would have to sell the cow to like a butcher or to a meat packing plant. You'd have to sell that cow. And then the cow gives the other cows diseases? And then it gives the other cows, American cows, that disease? That sounds fucking absurd. And if it sounds absurd, it is, because this man is lying to you. He doesn't give a flying fuck about what's real.
Sounds like some crazy new Oregon Trail game.
That's a good game, boss. That's not a bad idea. We're copyright TM stamping that right now. That's copyrighted Waldo merch. The crazy new Oregon Trail game where you get Venezuelan cows into America, and then you press the space bar a whole bunch of times, and then you get attacked by drug mules, and then you get attacked by coyotes in the actual literal coyote animals in the desert, and then you have to get across the Panama Canal. This could be a good Oregon Trail game. You're right, KVP. Good job. We'll work on that. But this guy does not give a shit about what's real.
And there's also, because of the mass immigration, a disease that we've been rid of in North America, made its way up through South America. As these migrants, they brought some of their cattle with them. So part of the problem is
they brought their cattle with them, and it infected our cows. That's fucking stupid. Scott Bessent, you're fucking stupid. And he thinks he thinks all of us are fucking stupid. He thinks we're all dumbasses who don't know our ass from a hole in the ground. We don't know anything. And so we go to Fox News to learn things. And he just fills your head with horse shit, with bullshit, actual bullshit this time, literal cow shit. He fills your brain with nonsense to blame the South Americans for cattle diseases. Chickens not producing enough eggs, South Americans did that. Have you ever, I could probably put together a whole whole stand-up bit about that. Have you ever bitten into an omelet and accidentally found a little piece of eggshell in there? South American immigrants did that. Have you ever gotten itchy, dry skin in the winter? South American immigrants did that. You see? Have you ever bumped your toe when you are walking through a room in the dark? South American immigrants did that. It's true. Have you ever bit into a hot dog and you just got that weird little bone piece? It's really gross. South American immigrants did that. Have you ever gone to the movies and your shoes were really sticky? South American immigrants did that. I could put it could be sort of like Jeff Foxworthy and the redneck jokes. You might be a redneck if this and that, and if you did this and that, you might be a redneck. I could probably put this together. The South would love it. South American immigrants did that. You might be a South American immigrant. I think that would work. I think it would go over well. We'll just blame them for everything. Remember when Abraham Lincoln got assassinated? South American immigrants did that. You see. Remember when Donald Trump told us that the tariffs were going to make us a bunch of money, and then they didn't? South American immigrants did that. It's all their fault, you guys. It really is. But the tariffs but let's leave that fictional unreality. Let's leave that alone. And let's come back to the real world, where American companies pay the tariffs because tariffs are a tax. And everything is more expensive now. Everything is more expensive because of these stupid fucking tariffs that Donnie put on. He put the tariffs on the beef industry, and now the prices have gone up, and he's going to lower the tariffs. And he demands you praise him for that. He started a fire. He called the fire department, and now he wants an award. He wants a reward for calling the fire department. He put the tariffs on. The prices go up. He takes the tariffs down. Prices go down, and he wants you to cheer for him as he does that, because he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know how any of these things work. He doesn't know what the economy is. He doesn't know what it does. He doesn't know what a tariff is. He still thinks that China pays them somehow. And he thinks you're an idiot. And the people who work for him think you're an idiot. Let's listen to some more horse shit about the economy.
Would you say wind power, is that the administration has no interest in that whatsoever and actually is wants to dismantle or cancel projects that were getting started?
Well, the track record's been pretty bad. You know, we spent hundreds of billions of dollars of subsidies for an energy source that's sometimes there and sometimes not, and you don't know.
Not like oil. Not like oil is sometimes there and sometimes not. Motherfucker, like you could dig for oil and not find any. Like your oil wells can dry up, and they have. That's why we got so many out in the middle of the fucking ocean. You dipshit son of a bitch. God, you're stupid. We used up all the easy to find oil, and so we had to invent ways to get it from the bottom of the sea. We're not doing that because it's fun. We're not doing that because it's easy.
Know when it's going to be there and when it's going to not be there. So the main goal of this administration is to stop subsidizing, stop paying people to put power on the grid that's guaranteed to make electricity more expensive and our grid a little less reliable.
Does
That's
that
not
go
in the
for
interest of
fossil?
the American
That's
people.
always the rap, Mr. Secretary. Sorry to interrupt you. You know, that's always a rap from the left that, oh, well, the biggest subsidies go for oil, you know, fossil.
They do go to the oil industry, you dumb son of a bitch. What are you acting like it's something new? The big subsidies go to oil. Yeah, they do. That's a literal fact. But if you say it in a whiny, crying voice and blame it on the left, you get to pretend it's not a fact.
Fossil fuels, those are being phased out as well?
No.
They don't. There
No.
are no meaningful subsidies for fossil fuels. And
There are no meaningful subsidies for the fossil fuel. You guys, you stupid libtards, you ignorant liberals, there aren't any subsidies for the oil industry. The United States provides substantial subsidies for the oil industry, primarily through tax breaks and financial incentives embedded in the federal, state, and tax codes. Direct subsidies of the fossil fuel industry, including oil, are estimated to be about $20 billion annually, with approximately 80% of that amount going to oil and gas production. $20 billion. But this guy said there wasn't any.
As well?
they don't. There are no meaningful subsidies for fossil fuels. And
there are no meaningful subsidies for fossil fuels. $20 billion annually. That's even more if you actually count the benefits they get that aren't actual straight up fucking money. It's more like $760 billion. But he goes on TV and gets to lie to you about it. MAGA is going to die because they fail at reality. When real stuff happens, when real things come together, when you can talk big during a campaign, but then when you're in charge, you actually have to do stuff. And you have to pay people, and you have to write checks, and you have to collect revenues. And when that doesn't work, because you've hired a bunch of morons, things fall apart. MAGA is going to die. They are going to be very rudely awakened because they are anti-woke, so they're asleep. And so the economy is going to shit under Donald Trump as well. Then, hey, guess what? There's another leg that Donald Trump campaigned on, another leg that he stood on, and that's law and order, and that's a fucking joke. Look at these criminals that Donald Trump is helping to get out of trouble. Andrew Tate landed on U.S. Customs and Border Protection, seized his electronic devices, but ProPublica found that the White House officials told DHS to return the devices, emphasizing the request came from the White House. Sex criminal, human trafficker, Andrew Tate came in and they said, hey, you're a criminal, and they took his electronic devices. You are a criminal. And then the White House said, nah, he gets a pass. He gets to go. He's fine. He says nice things about Donald Trump, so he gets to break the law. You see, That's the only order that exists. We kind of talked about it with Marjorie Taylor Greene earlier. She was his favorite because she said nice things about him. Then she asked him to do the things that he promised, and he was like, no, that was just campaign talk. That's not real. And she got very upset. She was a true believer. If you do crime and say nice things about Donald Trump, you are allowed to do that crime. The Chinese guy gave Donald Trump's children $2 billion worth of crypto. And then Donald gave him a pardon for his financial crimes, where he was going to have to pay $50 million in actual money, real money, to the United States government. That's money you could have benefited from. You know that deficit that we have? $50 million would have been a drop in the bucket. Yes, I know. But that still would have helped. We're $50 million poorer now because Donald pardoned this guy. Why did he do it? Because that guy, Chinese trillionaire probably, gave his sons, Donald Trump's sons, $2 billion worth of crypto coin, and he bought himself a pardon. Donald Trump is a criminal, and he helps criminals. He pardoned all the people on Jan 6th, and many of which have gone to commit more crimes and get prosecuted for that, and then beg him for more pardons. He's going to pardon the ICE people who have broken the law and broken the Constitution and hurt American citizens. He's going to pardon them if they ever get brought up on charges at all. In the next administration, they might. But Donnie would pardon them. He is a criminal. He's stealing from you. He was best friends for a little while with Elon, who stole all your information. Elon, when he put the Doge together, wasn't there for government efficiency. No. He was there to steal. He was there to steal all the information that he could so that he could push it into his stupid AI and rob you of your information, of your benefits, of your personal metadata. He wanted that shit, and he got it. He robbed you. And he wanted to rob the Treasury, but the Treasury stood its ground and didn't let him in there. He had little dipshits running around the Treasury, plugging fucking routers in and shit. Unsecure things so that they could steal your tax money. They want it, and they're going to take it if you let them. Let's see. There's another criminal. There's the other criminal. Trump administration seeks custody of convicted election denier Tina Peters. So Tina Peters is a criminal. Trump administration seeks custody of Tina Peters, the former GOP Colorado election clerk who sentenced to 9 years in prison on state charges for her role in the 2021 voting system data breach in a failed attempt to find voter fraud. So when Donald Trump lost, she broke into voting machines to find the evidence that he lost. There was no evidence. And the breaking in that she did was illegal. So they sentenced her to 9 years in prison because she is a criminal. You see, she broke the law and she was found guilty by a jury of her peers and sentenced legally to 9 years in prison. That's how the system works. That's how it used to work anyway. But Donald Trump wants her to leave state custody and go into federal custody. Why would they do that? So they can let her out. They can't pardon her for state crimes. No, it's true. You probably heard that. You probably heard people on the internet saying, like, he can't pardon state crimes. Yeah, great. Donnie can't pardon state crimes. But if he convinces the state to move her to a federal facility, they'll just open the fucking door and let her out. That's what they'll do. They'll put her on house arrest. Let her live at her house. And then she'll do fucking podcasts and make more than I ever will. And then she'll get tax breaks and benefits, and Donald will help her out and talk nice about her and hit her up on Twitter and tell her how great she is. They'll just let her out. Commit crimes for Donald Trump, and he will use the power of the government to forgive you, to make them not crimes. Donald Trump is running a criminal organization out of the White House. And we shouldn't allow that. We shouldn't let that happen. We should be talking about it. We should be telling people. We should be very upset when that happens. Hey, look, here's another criminal that he's talking to in the White House. MBS, Mohammed bin Salman. I can't fucking remember what his name is. But the head of Saudi Arabia. The king of Saudi Arabia, I guess. So he was there recently. You can see him
A lot of people
right
didn't
here.
like that.
There he is, MBS. Now, why we don't like him. One, he runs Saudi Arabia, which is fucking dangerous place. I'm pretty sure they sponsored the 9/11 terrorist attack, but we don't care about that. That's not important. Nobody's ever even heard of that. Then Jamal Khashoggi was an American journalist who worked for the Washington Post. He said some mean things about this man on the left, said them, wrote them down, printed them in a newspaper. And the man on the left had Jamal Khashoggi killed. He paid people to murder the journalist for the words that he wrote down. And that's not just like Waldo's crazy tinfoil hat opinion. That's what Donald Trump's CIA said. That's what Donald Trump's FBI said was true. Donald Trump's FBI said that. Donald Trump's CIA said that MBS had the guy murdered. But now here he is hanging out with Donnie, and Donnie's taking his side. Let's hear what he has to say.
He's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial.
The reporter was controversial. The reporter was saying mean things. And that can't be allowed. You're not allowed to say mean shit about the people in charge. You're not allowed to do that. That's illegal. You can't say true things about the king.
A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing.
Things happened, like he got murdered and chopped into little bits and dragged out of a hotel in pieces. Things happened.
About it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
Saying that he didn't know anything about it. The FBI that worked for Donald Trump said this guy was responsible for it. He paid them to do it. The Donald Trump CIA said that this happened. But because he says nice things about Donnie, he gets to be invited to the White House to make deals. Donald Trump is a criminal. He is a crime boss. He is the kingpin of crime. And if you do nice things for him, you get pardons. You get special treatment. You get to dodge responsibility for your crimes. And because of this kind of shit, I think that MAGA is going to die. MAGA will fall apart because they cannot keep this up forever. And listen to this guy. This is Congressman Eugene Vindman on this same topic. He says,
the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, I reviewed a call between the president and the Saudi crown prince. The American people and the Khashoggi family deserve to know what was said on that call. If history is any guide, the receipts will be shocking. I call on the president to release that transcript.
So there is a phone call, because of course there is. There is more files to be released. Of course they are. There's always a file. There's always a phone call. Everything Donald has ever done, his entire life has been recorded, and we can all see it, and we all know that he's a criminal, but some of us like it. So we know that there is a call between the president and the Saudi crown prince, and they probably say something incriminating that goes the opposite of what he's saying here. That is why Mr. Vindman wants it released. Vindman is like, hey, dude, the thing you said back then is opposite of what you're saying now. Does that matter? Not too much. MAGA doesn't care about things like being a hypocrite. They like it. They love it, actually. They think it's cool and based when Donald Trump says the opposite of today of what he said yesterday. They think that's just owning the libs, and it's fine. It's cool, and they like doing it. So maybe this won't matter to them, but it matters to the normal people. Normal people don't like that hypocrisy, and they're not appreciating it anymore. So yeah, Law and Order, horrible joke, horrible, disgusting trick that he played. If you voted for Donald Trump because of Law and Order, he tricked you. He is a criminal. He lied to you. Stop supporting him. Stop paying attention to him. Stop thinking that he's telling you the truth. He's not. He will pardon anybody who can if they say nice things about him. They're doing it with Ghislaine Maxwell right now. Ghislaine Maxwell got moved to a nice, swanky, easy hotel prison where she gets a dog. She gets a puppy. Ghislaine Maxwell has a puppy because Johnny wants her to say nice things about him. That's it. It's the whole thing. He's running a criminal fucking enterprise out of the White House. What other issue did I want to rant about tonight? Healthcare. There we go. Obama, the MAGA is failing on healthcare as well. Let's look at this dumb shit. The only healthcare I will support or approve is sending the money directly back to the people with nothing going to the big fat rich insurance companies who have made trillions and ripped off America long enough. The people will be allowed to negotiate to buy their own much better insurance. Power to the people. Congress, do not waste your time and energy on anything else. This is the only way to have great healthcare in America. Get it done now. President DJT. This is the dumbest fucking thing I think I've ever fucking read anywhere. He is such a fucking moron that it drives me nuts. He's far more wealthy than I ever will be. And he's fucking stupid as shit. I can't even fucking read that without getting angry. He's so goddamn dumb. He's ignorant beyond all measure. Has no idea what he's talking about. And he gets to be the fucking president. He's a moron. Sorry. Makes me mad. He does not have a plan for healthcare. Obamacare is still there, still being a half-assed solution to a problem that even Dems don't want to fix. Johnny does not know what health insurance is, or how it works, or where it comes from, or how you get it, or who pays for it. He has no idea what he's talking about. He doesn't know what this money will do. Even if he gave money to people, they would have to give it to the health insurance company. Like, where do you get health insurance? You don't just go to the supermarket and buy the one that's cheapest for you. You have to call them, and then they do their actuary tables, and then it all comes out the same no matter what company you go with. Some companies will have a different percentage here, a different percentage there, but it all comes down to this. They all
Cheap
use.
viewers on streamboo.com.
See?
Remove the space at 3PBJSB94.
See, you can get the cheapest viewers. You can't just go to the store and get those. Let me ban this guy real quick. Thank you. He doesn't know what these things are. He doesn't know where they come from. He doesn't know what the subsidies are. He doesn't know what a subsidy is. Man, he's too dumb to know what the Obamacare subsidies are. He's too dumb to know what Obamacare is. He doesn't comprehend what the ACA is or what it does or what universal health care is. He doesn't know what the government does. He doesn't know anything, y'all. He doesn't know anything. If you gave money to the people and expected them to use it for health insurance, first of all, half of them wouldn't. They would spend it on their bills or buying their electricity, which you have raised the price of, Donald, or their fuel, which you have raised the price of, Donald, or their groceries, which you have raised the price of, Donald. They would use it there first and hope they don't get sick. You can't expect people to do that. You have to take it out of their check, you have to take it out of their taxes, and you have to set a plan in place ahead of time. Then, when you do get sick, it's already paid for, and you go to the doctor and they take care of you. That price won't go down if you just give people money. The insurance companies will charge exactly what they do now. And you won't be able to shop around. Obamacare is shopping around. Man, you can pick the company, you can pick the plan, you can pick what's good for you and what's not good for you. You could do that on the Obamacare website. He doesn't know that because he doesn't know anything. And he's so close to being a leftist here. The big fat rich insurance companies who've made trillions and ripped off America's long enough, great. Make them illegal, Donald, and I will sing your praises. Make insurance companies illegal, and I will give you a high five. I will give you credit for that. Hopefully, you would put together some sort of universal health care in the meantime where you charge people through their taxes, and then they get health care universally. That's the plan. That's the best option. That's what all the good countries do. But we don't do that. Why don't we do that? Profit, 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 profit. Obamacare is profit for the healthcare insurance industry. It is. We give some of our money to them, and then the government gives some of their money, which is also our money, to the health insurance company. If you don't like that, get rid of the health insurance company. If you don't like it, get rid of the health insurance companies. John, if they're scams, then get rid of them. Not the government that has to pay them. The people can't pay for it. The people can't afford it. And they went to their government and said, please help us. We can't afford this. And then the Democrats, being the Democrats, said, okay, we'll pay for half. And the Republicans said, fuck you, you pay for it, you die. They don't care. They don't give a shit about you. The Republicans never have. They don't give a shit about you. They want you to vote and then shut the fuck up and never come back. And if they could skip the whole voting thing and stay in power forever, they'll skip it. Trust me. So the healthcare can't be fixed by giving people money. It needs to be universal, paid for by the government, single payer, from the government. We collect taxes, then we give it directly to the doctors. We give it directly to the nurses. We give it directly to the hospitals, and skip the trillionaire insurance companies. They can shrivel on the vine and die and go away, and it's fine. If they have workers, put them to work for the government. Hire them and pay them to work for the government system that you're standing up. The hospitals can stay all the same. But those industry people, those health insurance CEOs, pay Democrats for their campaigns and for their transitions. After you win a campaign, you have to have a transition period and a transition team, and you have to pay for that shit. You have to pay for your inauguration. And guess what happens? Even if I won, like Zoran did this, let's not use me. I've never run for anything. Let's use Zoran. Zoran Mamdani asked the people for money. They gave it to him. He took none from the corporations, and he won. But now he's in transition, which means he has to have more money. He has to pay a staff to transition. He has to pay a staff for an inauguration party. And the big donors jump in there. That's when the big donors jump in. And they're like, hey, boss, don't you need some money for that transition? Don't you need some money for that inauguration party? Don't you want it to be good? How about a couple of $1 million? I'll just give you a few million. And then next year, when I come knocking, you do me a favor. That's the game that is played in this country now. Money, money, money. It's all about money. It's all about getting that dosh. And you can't solve the capitalist problem with more money, Donnie. You can't solve the capitalist problem with more money. You have to solve it with government. The other power. There are only two powers in the world, government and capitalism. That's it. Everything boils down to those two. You can't solve this capitalist problem with capitalist solutions. It won't work. You need the anti-capitalism, which is government. Except our government's filled with capitalists. It's overtaken us. Oh, and when fucking Republicans even do have an idea, not a good idea, even when Republicans have an idea, it turns into eugenics. I'm not kidding. This is Markwayne Mullen, a eugenicist. Let's listen to what he has to say.
You can't fix a blown motor by putting more subsidies or more money into it. At some point, you got to rebuild it, or you got to
Hey, that's what Waldo said. You can't just throw more money in it. You have to rebuild the system. Okay, interesting. So let's hear what he has to say.
Replace it. And what President Trump is saying is this isn't working. Quit giving subsidies to profitable insurance companies. Let's give it to the American people.
That doesn't make any sense, boss. Mark Wayne, I hate your name. The fact that you have two first names. Stupid. Stop giving the healthcare companies money. Give it to the people who are going to give it to the healthcare companies. That's just extra steps, Mark Wayne. That's stupid. You're not solving anything.
them to make a decision to actually have a plan that works for them and reward them for being healthy. I mean, think about this. Healthcare is the only industry that you're not rewarded for taking care of your responsibilities. If you think about homeowners insurance, if you're within 500 foot of a fire hydrant, your insurance goes down. If you keep shrubbery away from your house, if you have fire protection inside your house, if you have an alarm system inside your house, if you have bars on your house, all this brings down your homeowners insurance.
So if you are born lucky, you get to pay less? What he's telling you here is eugenicist. Why should the healthy people pay for the sick and the disabled? I, personally, Waldo, have gout in my foot. It makes one of my toes big and swollen and painful. And that was given to me through genetics. Should I pay more for health insurance for the way I was born? Should people with sickle cell anemia have to pay more for the way they were born? Should you got Huntington's disease? That's going to cost you extra, boss. Sorry. Were you born with hemophilia? Sorry, kids. You're going to have to work more hours and make more money and spend more of your income over your entire life to pay for the extra health insurance that you need. It might leave you living in poverty, but that's better than asking Mark Wayne for more money. He's a dumbass eugenicist piece of shit with 2 first names. And he doesn't want to pay his fair share. He doesn't want to pay an equal share because he was born better than you. Mark Wayne, you are a eugenicist, whether you know it or not. And I really do think he is too stupid to know what that word means or what his plans will lead to. He's just a moron. And that, again, irritates me, that we keep being led by dumbasses. I don't get it. How do the stupidest among us rise to the top? I do not understand it. The weak and the stupid are the only ones that get to fucking make any damn progress in this damn world. And it drives me crazy. So anyway. And then there's the man himself. I guess I've segued myself into it. The stupidest and weakest of us all, Donald Trump. Here we go. Let's listen to him say really, really, really dumb shit.
States with tremendous water, so much water they have nothing but problems getting rid. They had restrictions on water. It comes down from heaven, right? They had restrictions on water. So you want to wash your hands, or like me, I want to wash my hair. I lather up, then I turn that, and there's no water. The water's drip. They put a restrictor on. I won't mention the third item in the bathroom because I always get criticized. I used to mention that, but I don't mention it anymore because you know what I think you do.
He's talking about toilets. He took a big dump one time and then flushed it because he was in California and a low flow thing, it didn't all go down. And that made him upset. He's talking about the shower he had one time that didn't have enough water pressure.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you shouldn't be owning a McDonald's franchise. You wouldn't do well even with a McDonald's franchise. But no, the water restrictions totally lifted. All restrictors are gone.
No, they're not. He's talking about California having more water than they could ever need. So much water that they're getting rid of it. Plus they have droughts. Most of that water is being sent to fucking almond farms. Like, farm and agriculture in California is huge, and so they need all that water to make almonds. And then they need to take those almonds and they need to send them to a factory where they crunch them up and blend them and add some water and then sell it to our dumbasses as milk. That's where all your water's going. To dry ass little nuts that barely have any liquid in them. Most of it's dumped right into the thing to make the tree grow so that you get a dry, crunchy little piece of tree flesh that we just grind up and add some water and then drink it like milk. It's insane. And he's so unhappy about these things. He is a moron. He's an absolute dipshit. not allowed to use the R word, but it's true.
On artificial intelligence, and we will work closely with friends and partners like those in this room to build the largest, most powerful, most innovative AI ecosystem in the world, and we are going to work it so that you'll have a one approval process, not have to go through 50 states in the United States. You know, you can't go through 50 states. You have to get one approval. 50 states is a disaster.
You wouldn't want, states to have laws. You can't have 50 different versions of a law. No. You have to have one version that one man writes and tells you what is true and what's correct and what's right and what's legal. He's talking about authoritarianism. No, don't have 50 little legislatures that all come up for what's best for their individual populations. No, one guy decides all the rules, all the laws. That is the way he thinks. He's talking about AI here, but he thinks that about everything else as well. He wants to be the king. And when we're not paying attention, he sometimes lets it slip that he wants to be the king. And we shouldn't let him. We should tell people he wants to be the king. And then maybe we'll have a rally and talk about and a protest about how we shouldn't have kings. Here he is saying something else fucking stupid.
To bring people to get those plants opened, we want you to do that, and we want those people to teach our people how to make computer chips. And
he's talking about computer chips, how we don't know how to make them. Donnie, we have people in America that know how to make computer chips. We would have to train American workers to do that. But that costs money. And it's cheaper for Intel to just get it from Singapore. At least I think that, or is it Hong Kong? Singapore or Hong Kong? Hong Kong, one or the other, where they make all the chips. I think it's Hong Kong. Is it Hong Kong? I don't remember. Regardless. So that's what he's talking about. Are you going to pay Intel to train the Americans? No? Then they're not going to do it. Sorry. Are you going to pay some sort of government program to train Americans to build microchips? You're not going to do that? Okay, well, they're not going to pay for it. So they're going to keep buying them from Asia. You dumb son of a bitch. Why do I know more about business than he does? Why do I know more about business than the business president? He continues to say stupid shit. Let's hear it.
And how to make other things. You can't come in, and I'm explaining, you can't come in, open up a massive computer chip factory for billions and billions of dollars like is being done in Arizona and think you're going to hire people off an unemployment line to run it.
He's correct. You can't just pick up any goober from the bus stop and ask them to build microchips. We have colleges in this country that could be teaching it, Donald. We have colleges, but you've sued most of them. You hate colleges. You hate education. You are trying to destroy the Department of Education. You're trying to bankrupt many, many, many colleges. Colleges could hold these courses, and then the people would sign up for them. The high school students would go to college, they would learn how to make them, and then they would get a job there. That's how the system's supposed to work. But you have wrecked that system. You have made entire swaths of the country, every red state now hates colleges that would be teaching them these things. The people from the red states in that unemployment line are there because they have not been educated. They are not educated because you have vilified, demonized, and hate education because it makes people not believe your lies. Education makes you not believe Republican bullshit. So he's walking a fine line here. He's stuck in between needing lots and lots of poor proles to vote for him and needing them to hate the immigrants and needing the immigrants to come in on H-1B visas to build microchips. You can't do all of those things, Donnie. You're going to have to give up some of them. You're going to have to give up the racism when you bring them in. Or you're going to have to give up the hatred of colleges so people can learn how to do it. Or you're going to have to give up that base when you keep the other two, when you keep the colleges and you keep the immigrants, guess what? MAGA is going to hate you. You got to give up some of it. You can't keep it all. But he doesn't know that because he's a moron.
They're going to have to bring thousands of people with them, and I'm going to welcome those people.
Those immigrants, those people stealing American jobs. They took our jobs. These people are taking American jobs because Donald won't pay to have you Americans trained.
I love my conservative friends. I love MAGA, but this is MAGA. And those people are going to teach our people how to make computer chips. And in a short period of time, our people are going to be doing great. And those people can go home where they probably always want to be. You know, when people...
Unless they want to stay here or they have a child. That H-1B visa person who comes over here for several years, because follow me here. Microchips are not easy. They're not exactly something you pick up in a week. You don't learn how to create them overnight. It's going to take a few years of training up a bunch of people. And in those few years, they're going to have babies. And those babies, according to the Constitution, are American citizens. He also hates that. So he wants good things for them when it benefits him. Why is he saying this about the AI chips? Why is he saying this about the chip? Because they paid him. Okay? Listen, racist, trailer-living person in the middle of Tennessee who loves MAGA and hates the Dems. How much money have you given Donald Trump? None? Or have you just bought all his flags and ads and stuff like that? That puts you at a higher level than somebody who's given him no money. But the head of Intel is giving him millions upon millions of dollars. The head of Apple is giving him millions of dollars. And that makes them more important than you. That makes them higher class citizens than you because they have given him more money. That is the world you live in now. Whoever gives Donnie the most money is the most American. I don't care how much patriotic you are. I don't care how many Christian crosses you have tattooed on your back. I don't care how many flags you have tattooed on your arms. I don't care about your Trump flag hanging from your F-350 Super Duty with truck nuts on the back of it and a picture of Joe Biden with a crosshair on it. These immigrants are more American than you because they have given him more money. He does not like you. He wants your vote, and he wants you to shut the fuck up. MAGA and the believers are constantly harmed by Donald Trump. But they think it harms the immigrants more. They think it harms the black people more. They think it harms the trans people more. And so it's okay. They're self-sacrificing to some extent. The people in MAGA sacrifice their own safety, their own comfort, their own money, so that the people they don't like will suffer even more. I would offer them a different way. I would offer them a better way. Equality. Equity. Everybody gets what they need, and then we charge the billionaires taxes. We charge the wealth that they are getting from your labor a tax that we then turn around to the people on the bottom to drag them up, rather than racing to the bottom like Donald Trump is having you do. But I'm a crazy leftist. What do I know? Terrible idea. If you ask most of the MAGA, they would not agree to that. They would not want that, because who's going to get hurt? They want to hurt people. Donald Trump is a moron. He's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He has no idea what's going on at any given moment. He will change his tune on even this issue, on the AI issue. If somebody gives him more money tomorrow than these chip manufacturers, he'll go against them. He'll turn on them. He'll turn on you for money. Because he's a criminal. And that's what he does. That's what he's always done. Whatever gives him the most power. Marjorie Taylor Greene, he does not care about you. He will dump you if it gets him more power. If you bring him votes and gets him power, great. If you stand against him, you're a traitor. MAGA is going to fall apart. It cannot continue the way it is. So, will it collapse. I think it is over the next few months as the Epstein stuff comes out, as those files pop out. We get to see them. We get to find out who was there and who wasn't there, and it'll be a big deal. I think that's why he pushed so hard against it. The Republicans on TV will lie about it, and hopefully the people in the middle will see that it's a lie and stop supporting him. And then, if we're lucky, as usual, as I've said several times before, the 2026 elections will be the big turning point. That will be the biggest, most important thing possibly in our lives. I know it's a midterm election, but the 2026 midterm elections might have ICE agents outside polling places, harassing people, tackling them, dragging them away, screaming. It might have people too afraid to go to vote because ICE is out there. It might have cops trying to stop ICE agents. It might have cops and ICE agents shooting tear gas at each other, and then people running away from the line to vote in fear of being tear gassed. How many of these things happen at the 2026 election midterm is going to make the direction the country goes. If it goes off without a hitch and there's no fuckery from Donald Trump, he will lose. He will lose the House. He will lose the Senate, and he will be impeached. That will happen. And it'll go off. And he will be removed, and J.D. Vance will be president for 2 years, and he will get nothing done because the Dems in the Senate, in the House, will just shut down every single thing he says. Do they try a fascist takeover at that point? Maybe. J.D. Vance will run, obviously, in 2028, but he'll lose. Then if they are successful, if Donnie's actually successful with the 2026 midterm, he puts the people out of place. He displaces all the people that are voting. He makes sure the Hispanic locations within America don't get to vote because of the tear gas, because of the ICE agents, because they don't show up, because he's canceled all the mail-in voting, and he's put in the racist ID laws. He'll continue to win and push more and more and more for those things to happen in 2028, and he will run again. He will run again, and there will be nothing to stop him. He will run a third time, even though it's illegal. You're telling me it's illegal. They'll do it anyway. They'll lie right to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will allow it, and they'll say it's fine, and he will run again. And he will do even more crackdowns at the polls. There will be more violence at the polls. There will be more bomb threats at the polls. There will be more violence from ICE, from FBI, from people who are trying to protect the people who are standing in line. The people who are standing in line will be protected by protesters who are fighting ICE, and then everybody will get pepper sprayed. Everybody will get tear gassed. Hundreds of people will be injured. Shots will be fired. That starts the American Civil War. It really does. And I'm not happy about that. I don't want these things to happen. I would like him to stop being a criminal. And everybody within the Republican Party, like Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing now, to turn on him, to turn against him, to say, we have had enough of this shit. You are a liar. You are a criminal. You are doing things. You promised 1,000 things. You've done nothing of them. And they were bad promises to begin with. And then maybe, if we're lucky, they get a little bit of leftism in their ear. They hear the idea that it was always a dumb idea. They'll hear some of the people who have been telling them this was a stupid idea, that he was a criminal and a liar. They will come to understand what they were saying, what I was saying, what I've been telling them is going to happen, because it keeps happening. I predicted a lot of these things. But I'm tired. It's 8:38. It's time for me to call it a night. I have had a great time tonight. Thanks to everybody for coming. I know I ranted there for quite a while, but it was a good one, I think. I am going to be back on Saturday. I will take a photo of Bubba with his new toy. He is exhausted. He is exhausted right now. He had a new toy, so he is tired. He's asleep already. And he is... I'll get a photo of him with it tomorrow. Then on... And if you missed any of this, I'll post it up on YouTube. I go to the... I turn all of these into YouTube... videos. So I take all this, I chop out all the important bits, I cut out all the ums and all the awkward pauses, and I turned it into a YouTube video, and you can go over there and you can watch that there too. Or you can watch all of this on the live tab of YouTube. So YouTube has all of my streams forever, except for the ones that I really messed up with the audio. That was my second stream ever, many years ago. None of my microphone came through. None of it. And I deleted that one. But all the rest are still there. You can go back and you can watch them, or you can watch the edited, cut together little bits. And it has some cool little jazz music underneath it and all that fun stuff. So if you're paying attention, hop into that YouTube channel, press the thumbs up button, break the bell, smash the subscribe button, and spread some hatred within the comments, because hatred is what powers the YouTube algorithm. So I have to do things to make people hate me. Usually that's pretty easy. I just tell them what I think, and then a lot of people hate me. But then you say annoying things like 6, 7. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it means, but the kids told me to say it, and they told me that it would get me all kinds of views. So I do that. Go there, post a 6 and a 7 in my chat, and the algorithm will reward both of us. It'll reward me with more views and more spread. It'll reward you with sweet, sweet, sweet dopamine. You'll feel good. You'll feel human feelings if you put some sort of message in my YouTube chats. So that is it for me today. I will be back on Saturday, 10 a.m. West Coast time, unless the Gestapo kicks in my door and drags me up to the gulag.